from your sheets. All right? A round of applause for the second contestant, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Victor Bisson from the University of Calabar, and this is my presentation. Societies around the world, countries around the world do not build because they have natural resources. They do not build because they have infrastructure. They do not build because they have anything, but they build because of the kind of values citizens and leaders in those societies have. That is the fundamental principle in this conversation. Today's speech is not necessarily about what we're given to prepare, where we read out all of those things, the 7 for 7. Today's speech is about the relevance of this national values charter in our contemporary society, and that is what we insert in today's debate. What will you get from me in our speech today? Firstly, I will tell you why the national values charter is important. Second, I'm going to tell you is what the social contract theory actually is. The third thing is why the rule of law is important and why we should have stronger institutions. And what we're going to tell you is why did other values, other things fail. We'll tell you why the national values charter in this point has come with better alternatives and is something that is more practicable in our society. The other thing I'm going to tell you is how institutions of government and the people of government, the differences between institutions and people of government. I go on to my speech now. Firstly, on what the national values charter tries to achieve. Right from the 80s, he explained things about ethnic divides and all of those. Those are very important in our speech today. We understand that naturally, people have their ethnic lineage. The idea of national values charter is seeks to achieve a central ideology, whether you are from northern Nigeria or you're from southern Nigeria, you identify first as a Nigerian, and because of that, the tendency to want to engage in corrupt practices, the tendency to want to engage in criminal activities would be reduced. Because when you see yourself as a Nigerian and you know that when you pillage government resources, it's going to affect the next person, your incentives are highly marginally reduced because you don't have the reason to want to hurt your brother. We think that is fundamental to our conversation today. But what do we seek to achieve? For every society to grow, two pillars are strong. For every society to grow, we must understand that two stakeholders are critically important for every society. Firstly, we have the institutions of government and the people that man those institutions, which are our leaders, and secondly, the citizens. Today's debate tries to create a balance between this responsibility of political leaders and the responsibility of citizens. I will tell you why it's factually important in today's debate. The reason why social contract theory is important, which I think is fundamental to what we are discussing today, is the fact that citizens elect to create a government. In that election to create a government made promises. Understand, this is different from policy statement from government officials directly. We have the existential promises that government makes because of the principle of social contract theory. Why is this important? We elect because we know that society is heterogeneous. They are strong, they are weak, they are poor, they are rich. Because of that society, the rich and the mighty ones will always prevail over the minority. That is why they elected to create a system called government. The essence of that government is we hand over our power to government, and government offers us equality, offers us inclusivity, offers us democracy, offers us all the employment and every other thing to ensure that society is balanced. We get closer to egalitarianism than all of the class divide that exists in status quo. And that is what the essence of social contract theory. To achieve the social contract theory, we understand that the natural tendency for humans to weaponize power. They created the rule of law and said every other person should be under the law. The law is supposed to regulate people's activities. And that's why we have institutions to regulate the activities of humans. Because if you just allow these laws exist and there are no institutions, there's a problem with that. But why do we think that this national values charter is important? The reason is because even if you allow these people to man those offices and you do not create in them values, they will hold those offices and steal. They will hold those offices and pillage and corrupt and do other things. That is why this is important. Today's speech is not to tell you list out the national promises of government, list out the promises of responsibility of citizens. It's to tell you why it is important in this debate. And we tell you, when we have people manning offices without values, those people will rob us and will not have benefit from all the promises. We think that it is very important at this point for us to have a society where we can have people who have values man those offices. And that is why it's happening right now. Because the implementation process is socialization. Whether as cartoon, whether as NYSD, the idea is socialization. When we socialize citizens and socialize members of politics, we will have a more progressive society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.